Hello, and thanks for joining us today. I'm super excited you can be here. Look, today I'm really excited to introduce somebody that has created a really cool way. Really, I'm not going to let me don't understate this. It's the coolest way I've ever seen for you to actually manage credit cards. And why this is important, especially for me, is I'm a business credit guy, right? So we've always talked about building business credit, but we never talked about all these cards you have and managing these cards, whether it be 0% cards, whether it be vendor credit, or all the other credit that you're obtaining as a business owner. And today we're going to solve that problem with you. So today with us is Troy Johnston. Now, Troy actually brings deep operator experience to his company, Stackeasy, shaped by building and also exiting e-commerce and SaaS businesses. So as co-founder of Seller Tools and an advisor with Carbon 6, he understands where businesses lose time and how automation unlocks scale. So at Stackeasy, Troy actually focuses on simplifying operations through practical AI solutions that improve efficiency, decision-making, and growth. So his experience with Neon Pulse further strengthens his ability to identify meaningful applications of emerging technology. Now, rather than chasing hype, Troy actually emphasizes real-world impact, helping businesses implement automation that drives measurable results. And together, Troy and Stackeasy reflect a modern approach to building lean, scalable companies powered by AI. Troy, what's up, man? Thanks for joining me today.
Thanks, Ty. Appreciate you having me.
Yeah, I'm
Excited to be with
excited
you.
you're here. So,
Yeah.
talk to me a little bit about Stackeasy. So, what is Stackeasy, and kind of give me a brief overview?
Yeah. So Stack Easy really, as a platform, came about organically, as you alluded to and mentioned with my background, being in e-commerce and then in software. After I exited some of those businesses, I sort of ran into the opportunity of, yes, you can use your own capital, but there's so much opportunity in terms of funding and being able to leverage that funding for assets, for investments, for new businesses. And organically, I sort of stumbled into what was the seed of the idea for Stackeasy, where I realized funding through thought leaders and experts and content creators such as yourself, people can really wrap their heads around it, take advantage of it. But the next piece of the equation is actually managing that funding and the nuances of it: 0% interest, balance transfers, maximizing what funding gives you when you get cashback, rewards, benefits, offers, that whole slew of benefits that can be underutilized and can translate to hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands of dollars if not managed correctly. So I really ran into it myself and realized, wow, nothing like this exists. I actually went through a premium program, got funding, and I got a templatized spreadsheet. And I realized, wow, that doesn't really align with not only what I need, obviously not really reflective of the what I thought was the caliber of the program per se, but I sort of started building something for myself. I wanted that visibility. I realized as I got to 10, 15, 20 plus credit cards that I needed something to manage it, because that's where you get the T in the road, where this funding can be a liability if things get off the rails and you're not managing it correctly, but it becomes a really powerful asset when you do it right and you manage it. And that was really the seed of the idea. And we've been building Stackeasy just sort of around that. Like I said, really what I wanted, what they call in the software space dog fooding, where you're sort of solving your own problem, and by virtue of that, you can really make sure it resonates with an audience before you launch it, before you release it. So that was the seed of the idea. Now it's getting into more people's hands and really trying to address that pain point of managing credit and funding.
Yeah, and I love it. The funny, for those watching, like Troy, I don't know how this came across my email, and I looked at it and I was like, oh my God. And I immediately reached out to Troy, and I was like, within minutes, I was like, we need to get into a call. And I got a call. I was like, every single one of my clients needs this. And it was just one of those dumb moments. I'm like, why does something like this exist? He's like, yeah, why does something like this exist? Because for those that don't know, like, everybody in the industry, like everybody in the business credit vendor side, I am in the 0% stacking side, everybody has always helped clients manage this through Excel logs. It's embarrassing to say, like, I didn't even think how stupid that was until I saw Troy's technology. And I was like, well, this is ridiculous. Like, why hasn't this problem ever been solved before? So it's just such a brilliant solution, because Like you and I know, anybody that gets credit and starts getting a multitude of credit, it's impossible to manage with Excel logs because, to your point, some of them have 0%. You don't know when the 0% expires. Some of them have different, a lot of them have different benefits, and you don't know what benefits they provide. You don't even know how many credit cards you have. And then, if you're watching this and you're building business credit, you understand that when you're building business credit, the credit or name doesn't even show on your business credit report. So it adds a whole other layer of complexity. The more business credit you build, you don't even remember who you have credit with. And so all of this just compounds it as you start to get more and more credit. It's just an absolute mess where you have no control over what you're actually managing credit card wise. So Troy, tell me a little bit more. Stackeasy.ai, how does it help fix that problem? Like, what is this dashboard? How does the technology work where it specifically solves the problem?
Yeah, really, where I started was the true management side of things. The benefits, we sort of incorporated after the fact, but I always joke the idea of just having some way and having an alert system, which we have, alert system for when your 0% falls off. That pays for itself 10 times over. Where when you go from 0% to 21, 24, 25% interest, that's a really crummy scenario. So having a tool to really think for you was sort of the seed of the idea of like, okay, this is one of the biggest leverage points is 0% interest funding. And so what we built was the initial dashboard, one place to sync one or a multitude of credit cards, get the real-time data, of course, for payment amounts, due dates, balances, sort of the core pieces. But then the funding specific elements, the 0% and then the balance transfer eligibility. And we have this in the platform as well of really being able to map out, hey, what cards do I have that are balance transfer eligible? What balances am I carrying? And you can run a little simulation and sort of plan, hey, I'm getting 3 months, 2 months, I'm getting close to that 0% falling off. What do I have in play that's balance transfer eligible? Or do I need to be thinking about a new card for that business, a different business or personally? And so that's really the core suite, which we make available for free. That was really my idea is that even if it was, we would joke about this, even if it was sort of a glorified spreadsheet, it just solves such big pain points where it's like, just give me real-time data. I don't want to log into 10 different accounts. Give me the most important data, then allow it to alert me for 0%. I want to text, I want to email, however is convenient for that specific user. But it sort of just lets the platform be that second brain. And so that was the core suite, which again is free. And then the premium features are really where we bolt on the AI components. So we'll look at your transactions. We'll see, hey, based on your purchase behavior, or even at the transaction level, you could be using a card that gives you another 1, 2, 3% more in cashback or rewards. We have a full benefits dashboard too, where, for me, I've got in excess of 150 benefits. Now, some people have no idea they have those benefits. I have so many that I wanted to build a platform to where I could favorite those. I can monitor, I can know exactly, hey, this is important to me across my 28 cards, which can be a lot to manage, but we want to simplify that. And so once you start bleeding into a lot of that value add, that's where the premium suite sort of layers on top of it. So that way we sort of capture what can often be sort of two different audiences, but the nice thing to see is that really anybody that has a credit card, we've run the math on this, where an individual credit card, if you maximize the benefit, can be as much as $250. So it's not a small amount of money when you actually think about everything that you get from intro offers to that 0% offer, like to the perks, like everything I rattled off. If you maximize all of that, it's a lot of money, and it could be a card that you already have. And so that was a lot of the thinking behind it, is we wanted to make sure that, hey, anybody who has a credit card, this is applicable to you. I was joking with somebody the other day because I have so many credit cards. Syncing one of mine, I noticed that I had $200 in cash back. I wouldn't have known that unless I logged into one of my many accounts, or I just synced it one time with Stackeasy, and then it just shows me there at the card level and then across all my different credit cards. So that's really how like I said, we structured it, is that core suite, anybody can get in, maximize the really the stackers, the funding folks really resonate with that. And then when you get into cashback rewards, it's you're using these cards on the daily. What are you accruing? How are you maximizing it? And then having the AI is really, and I mean, Ty, you and I have talked about this with the capabilities of AI, but now when you complete that one-time sync, there's just so much that we can illuminate. And we'll literally tell you, hey, you're using this card. You have another card in your account that could give you better rewards, or we'll tell you a new card that you don't even have. So that way you have an idea that hey, I could be signing up and getting that much more in the way of rewards and benefits. So that way um, how to maximize your spend and your purchase behavior.
Yeah. There's a lot to it, and anybody's managing cards, like it's your point. I had an Amex card, and I said to my assistant, I was like, why don't like I don't think we've ever received the benefits of this. She looked into it. We had millions of points. I mean, millions of points, and it all came into the conversation about a trip, and those millions of points legitimately paid for the entire trip, the stay, the flights, the everything that we wouldn't have. It would have been exponentially expensive trip that it paid for, not even realizing that was sitting there. But one of the interesting things I think I love about your tech is that a lot of people right now may be thinking that they don't want to manually put in all those details. So how does the tech work where you can get the details about each of these cards into the actual technology?
Yeah, really, it is a one-time sync to have all of those features and all the visibility. So once you go in, we use a platform called MX. Many people have used Plaid equivalent. It's a encrypted, read-only, SOC 2 compliant. It's safe and secure, but it allows you to easily then see. It just pulls the data from that financial institution for that card. And once you do that, you're done. And then from there, we kind of take everything, all that real-time data to present what that detail is for that card. So it's a really low lift. Once you do your initial setup, then everything is illuminated from there. And we do a lot of work from the AI to the credit card detail. This is one of the reasons why I noticed there wasn't a lot of solutions in this space, because it's not very easy to cover thousands of credit cards and provide some detail that just isn't readily available. But that's a lot of the value of the platform, is that we can sort of give you the whole picture versus just payments. And I've seen, doing discovery back when we started the platform, I've seen a lot of people try to repurpose budgeting tools and sort of try to get at what we do fully, but sort of in an incomplete way. But that's the beauty of it, is as you're familiar with those, many people have done the similar sync of their accounts. You do that once with us, and then we illuminate everything across the board, and you've got access to the full suite.
Yeah, it's so powerful, and you should check it out at Stackeasy.ai. It's a beautiful dashboard. First of all, it's a beautiful dashboard. And you heard it. You just mentioned, earlier about like a glorified spreadsheet. I'm like, dude, I would never call it anything like that. And I know that's what you were. Remember? And that's what you said you started to build at the beginning. I was like, it's beautiful. The dashboard is gorgeous. And what I love about it is it's so easy. So it could take, and this is one of the things that I asked you before, is it could take consumer credit cards, it could take commercial credit cards, even vendor credit. And again, once you sync it, it pulls in all of the data for these credit cards. So even in Excel log, you have to manually type all of this stuff in. This just is pulling from the financial institution all of it in. So those of you, we're all familiar with Plaid. We're all familiar how Plaid just integrates with the bank account. But imagine creating this beautiful dashboard, and then all of a sudden it syncs in all of your credit card data, all this information populates. Then it's there for you to start building in the controls that Troy's talking about. Is that's pretty decent explanation?
Yeah. And MX, who we use, they actually have a wider coverage than Plaid. It's one of the reasons when we vetted different solutions, why we opted for MX. But it's a very similar workflow. You'll notice that when you sync an account, is that you'll be provided with a prompt. You'll securely provide the access, and then with the read-only, we just simply provide the data. There's nothing that we access or anything in addition to that. It's just once you do it, provide the credentials, and then you're set to have really the full suite.
Yeah, overwhelming amount of benefits. So, and to give, just talk about one of them, and you talked about hundreds of savings. From when I looked at it, and from in my world, it's literally tens of thousands of dollars of savings. I just don't see it could be anything different, because 0% alone For a lot of you that don't know, a lot of 0% cards are 0% for, let's say, 12 months. But the problem is, if you have a balance on there past that 12-month period, you accrue interest on all of that money. And I'm not saying all cards are the same, but there's some of them are actually operate that way. So I might sit there and put $50,000 on my credit card thinking I'm paying 0%. But then if I leave it on there when that 0% expires, all of a sudden I'm paying interest on that whole 50K as if I didn't have that 0%. That's the way some cards work. So the reality is that one thing can cost you thousands of dollars. And let's all be real. Nobody pays attention to when your 0% expires. Like, we are not paying attention and tracking that. So that's one of my favorite features here, is that it monitors that, and it can give us alerts and even tell us that's coming up. So we know that we're going to hit a point where interest is going to start accruing, maybe backwards or definitely forwards. And then we can also use the technology to figure out where we can actually transfer the money where we have lower interest or 0%. Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
that's at the core of our thinking too, with what we've developed.
Yeah, and I love that. I love that part of it because it saves so much money. And this is the part that manually a lot of us are trying to shuffle, is that when is it time to apply for new 0% cards? When should we be focused on transferring balances? When should we stop using cards? When do we make sure balances are moved off of cards so we don't pay interest on them? This just sounds overwhelming just to think about it, let alone if you're talking about 5, 10, 15, 20 different credit cards. But then the other thing I love is the benefits, because I sit there and do webinars, and it's mind-numbing to me to say, hey, use this credit card and you get 3% back on office supplies. But if you use this credit card, well, then you're getting 1% back on office supplies. None of us, and that's just like one feature of the card. But then if you buy gas, then you might get, this much cash back on this card and this much cash back on another. So it's impossible for us to really pay attention to what we should be using cards for. And that's another thing that I love about Stackeasy.ai, is that, like, you come in and help us understand the benefits and the perks that we're getting with the cards, and then understand when we should be using cards better than what we are to be able to take advantage of cash back and those other perks.
Yeah, and that's a great point. It's one thing that we spend a lot of time thinking about it, because there's a lot of different ways that you can sort of approach. You alluded to categories. Is we sort of thought of the different ways that you can unpack, like, what's important to a user of the platform. Do they want to have cards then benefits? Do they want to have benefits that then inform what cards they get? Do they have categories that are greater emphasis? And we literally broke down the navigation of the platform with each option sort of in mind. So you can go and see best card by category and say, hey, I disproportionately spend on dining or travel or, you name it. Well, we have an easy way to segment based on some of those categories, but have a flow that makes it to where no matter where you're sort of coming at it from, we just want to make sure you're maximizing how you're using your credit cards. But again, people have it from different perspectives. And so that was one way that we sort of thought through the navigation, the user flow. And I think we did a really clean job with it, because it just makes it so easy where you can just filter down, hey, maybe I only have one great card, maybe I have none. And we can tell you why. We give you unique scoring for each one and a breakdown as to why, with full visibility into, hey, you're going to get X amount of points. Is this compelling, or should you be thinking about a new card to add to your basket? So
Yeah. And I love the fact that it's real time. So it's not like you're syncing it and it just stays there. Like, it's syncing, it's giving you real-time information. So even just understanding your balances on credit cards, you don't have to juggle all of these different logins. You're literally able to go into one place, manage and see all of your cards, all these things we're talking about, even including your limits, your balances, like all of that stuff is showing in one platform. So by one login, you can see where everything, even on the consumer commercial side, where everything is and where you sit, like in one place.
right. Yeah. And to your point, I mean, each card can handle things like minimum payments differently. So, really simple but intuitive things like payment alerts, like things, again, I just wanted where I'm like, let the tool do the work for me. I want to kind of like, let me have my mental bandwidth where second brain, I can configure it and then just have it tell me, hey, I've got this payment due. This card's a little bit different. Again, I've got, almost 30 credit cards. So the nuances of each one, I just get to sit, have a little bit of peace of mind because I've configured those alerts, and I know when 0% hits, I know when payments are due. I know how to manage my balances. I've got tagging across I've got a few businesses, so I've got tagging across those. Got my personal cards in there. It sounds like a lot, but that's the beauty of organizing it, is that I can still sort of just say, hey, handle it for me and let me know when the important things are going to happen. Then I take action. First, I have to just check, and because I did it. Yeah, I did that with the spreadsheet. I literally I still share pictures of it every once in a while just because it's funny to look at a 28 credit card spreadsheet, and just think, man, logging into all those different accounts. I just like, if I value my time, what am I doing here?
Well, I also think it makes a big difference to see it all in one picture. Like, your brain trying to piece that together through 15 different logins is crazy. But, to have one platform that shows your balances, that shows your limits, that shows your utilization on every single card, like that alone just helps you see the full picture of where you are, and then know what's 0%, know what's not, will know where you can transfer. It just helps you see the whole picture and puzzle, which makes it easier to kind of solve and to be able to maximize the benefits of which card to use when.
Right.
You know,
There's another feature too that we have. It's called Pulse. And the thinking behind that was, what if I do want to spend a little bit of time, but I just want to sort of check? And that's was the idea, and the name behind it is sort of like, what's a pulse of the activity? So maybe in the last 14, 30 days, I've got these payments rolling in, I've got this 0%, I've got a little bit higher rewards that I've received. So we kind of bubble up, hey, what's some of the most important activity? So I can come in and just check a pulse of the things that are going on. And it's in that same spirit of, this is, obviously we're going to start with what's effective. We're including things that you really just can't get anywhere else. But then also, how do you make that efficient for yourself? Especially again in the time of AI and the capabilities, we just want to sort of make it to where it's efficient for a user. They really genuinely feel, man, this is great time savings on still staying tapped in, but not consuming all my time to get there.
yeah. Well, and I love that, and I love that. I love the capability, like with the AI, because even if I think about utilization, if we think about consumer credit, 30% of our score is utilization, and if we look at utilization and break it down, it really has to do with utilization overall. It has to do with utilization individual card. So that's a third of your consumer score. So just managing utilization wisely is one of the easiest ways to manage your consumer credit scores. And I love that it even provides AI insights and tells me that. It might say, hey, look, move this much from American Express to Discover, recognizing you can move it. And then in doing so, you're evening out that utilization on this account, bringing it, to where it should be. So I just think even the AI tools that are on their Premier version, which we shouldn't even call it Premier because it's so cheap. Like, if you're free and Premier, I'm not gonna tell you the price, the cheapest thing is, but when you see the price, you're going to know what I know, which is Troy is not charging the right amount of money. He's charging way more money than he is charging. So, but I love that. Like, those kind of insights from the AI tool, I think is pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah. No, I appreciate that. Yeah, I think and the goal is really to just get it in as many people's hands as possible. I think it was such a gap in the market, and I don't say that as the owner. I stumbled upon this myself. I was just sort of like, wow, why does this not exist? I need it. Like, I need to have it. And I just feel, yeah, I feel like as more people get to enjoy the platform, I'm getting a lot more of that feedback. And same as yours, it's resonating. There's an echo of a sentiment that, like, this is very much needed, core to, yes, you get the funding, which is powerful, but managing it, that's where things can fall off. And so yeah, I hope with what we are, our price point is approachable. It makes it accessible. But no, I appreciate that. I think we're competitively priced. Yes.
Yeah, to say the least. Tell me about the Stackeasy score.
So this gives you a picture. It looks at your personal and business credit, and it sort of meshes the two. It looks at the potential that you have based on your personal credit. So of course, do you have enough accounts open? As you know, with credit mix and what impacts your credit score, most people may not know this, but it's actually having more accounts, having a variety of accounts and products that is advantageous for getting a better credit score. Creditors, they essentially just want to see, hey, can you handle different debt products, do so reliably, do that with history. And so we look at the personal side, and then we look at the potential of what you can get with the business side. Are you getting ample amounts of business funding? Are you keeping your utilization competitive? And so we mesh that in a formula to give you an idea of how you're doing. Are you maximizing the potential of what you currently have? But it's a great way of tying all that in instead of just looking at it exclusively, where your credit score, obviously you want to have in a good way. With business credit, it's a little bit more nuanced, but when you bring the two together, it's sort of saying, do you have your foundation personally? And then are you maximizing on the business side? And then we give that to you over time. So how does that change? How are you using the business credit? What does your utilization look like across the number of accounts? But it's a really great way of sort of knowing where you stand and seeing, hey, am I maximizing my funding potential?
Yeah, I love it. Troy, Stackeasy.ai. It's cool, man. It's one of my favorite things I've seen. It's definitely my favorite thing I've seen in 2026. I think that may be true at the end of the year. When I talk about like my favorite things, this will definitely be one of the coolest things I've discovered this year. And I don't mean discover it by like I discovered it, like I discovered you somehow, some way to figure this thing out. So everybody that's interested in getting free access and then seeing how ridiculously underpriced Premier is, where should they go to learn more?
So if you go to stackeasy.ai, you can get started with a free account. I would encourage others too. We've built so many free resources. You'll notice on our website, towards the bottom, there's a resources link. We've built all kinds of really cool tools. A funding database, how to travel for free. So we'll look at your cards, where you want to travel to. We'll see what your purchase, we'll look at like a typical month of your purchase behavior. We just want to kind of give away something for free, but intuitively, as you're using and thinking about your credit card products, it makes a ton of sense to end up back with us at stackeasy.ai. And like I said, when you get started, it's totally free. Sync your account securely, get full visibility. And what you'll see with one card, you can add to, as you add more, you'll start to just see that it becomes the hub, a place, a single source of truth for how to manage your credit cards and then maximize all the benefits and hopefully just make more money. At the end of the day, our core benefit is you make more money when you handle debt more effectively and leverage these products because they're really powerful when done right.
Yeah. Troy, thanks for coming on and sharing all this today.
Thank you, Ty. Appreciate it.
All right, so listen, I oftentimes through the year talk about my favorite things that I've seen. And this literally, we're into April of 2026. This is my favorite thing for 2026 so far. And it will be one of my top, probably 3, definitely my top 5. I don't know what I'll discover the rest of 2026. It's going to be one of my favorite things because it is so freaking super cool. And as Troy said when we first talked, he's like, everybody builds credit, but nobody manages it, right? I was like, this is ridiculous. I never even thought of this being a problem until the minute I saw it, I'm like, this is right. He's right. We're using Excel logs. And even then, we maybe get 20% or 25% of the info we need. We don't know the rewards. This technology literally even tells you when to utilize cards the right way to be able to buy certain things. I mean, even the free version actually gives you access to the Stackeasy score. So you have to check it out. It's 100% free to try out at stackeasy.ai. You get a lot of stuff with the free version. And when you see how ridiculously underpriced the premium version is, you're going to upgrade and grab that too. Because if you're doing anything with building business credit and getting business credit cards and consumer credit cards, this thing is what helps you maximize all of it, to maximize your credit scores, maximize the points, maximize the rewards, maximize the 0%, the transfer capabilities. If you look at every single perk of a credit card, and you're probably using maybe less than 15 or 10% of them realistically, this thing helps you maximize and use all of those perks and use the credit cards the best way to where you can leverage them to be able to grow your personal credit, your business credit, and exponentially improve your financial health. So you have to check it out today, stackeasy.ai. Go check out the free version, upgrade to premium. You're going to love it. Thanks for tuning in. Take care. Have a great day.